Shawna Karrasch here, coming to you with another Ask Shawna answer from Villanova Training out here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Okay, it says, this is from Wendy, and Wendy says, how can I use R+, positive reinforcement, to work with a rescue who becomes deeply anxious when people she does not know are in her vicinity? I think my pony has PTSD. When this trigger kicks her over threshold, operant conditioning just raises her level of anxiety and is counterproductive. I find the kindest thing to do when this happens is to immediately return her to her paddock with her herd, the one place she feels safe. Would using classical conditioning with no bridging or behavior expected anytime there are other people around us be a valid approach to address this fear? She is 25. I've had her 4 years and she trusts me, but the PTSD or PTS trigger is so powerful, we are struggling to get past it. Yes, it is absolutely what I would recommend. So I think that the fact that, the clicker is another, it can be, it's a stimulus, it can be more adrenaline. I think just the food in that situation is perfect. And what you're doing, I mean, look, you've already made progress with her. So is it slow? Yes. She has 25 years or 21 years before you got there of having a tough situation where she didn't perceive people as good or safe. So you have done a lot to really help her have a safer place in this world. And I don't want you to forget that, because it's easy to keep looking at where do we want to go next and what isn't good yet, and forget how far you've come. And you really have come a long way with her. So what I would do, drop the clicker. When I first start with a feral horse or an abused horse, I don't even have the clicker. I'm just like, I just need classic conditioning to have you think I'm a good thing, I'm a good thing, I'm a good thing, I'm a good thing. So what I would do, because it could just still need to be a part of her life, I wouldn't say no people around her, but I would try to do where you have the people be further removed. So try to figure out, okay, is she okay with people 20 yards away, 30 yards away, 10 yards away, and figure out where is it that she's still under threshold. She's still at a place where she's like, okay, and maybe she's right at threshold. She's like, I see it, I know they're there, but I can relax and I can focus on you and I can be relatively, okay with this. Get to that place. And so let's say it's at 15 feet solid. I would have them at 16 feet so that it's still in a comfort zone, and I'd start reinforcing, doing good, easy, calm, relaxing things with her. Even if you're going to keep them at that point where they are below threshold, where she's below threshold, I would actually do a little bit of some of her easy and funnest behaviors. So you could do targeting and going to a target, lifting her feet, things that she's shown you are very, very reinforcing for her. They're simple to do. And sometimes there's two ways I've seen it. Sometimes with horses, when they have something to look at like that, and if they just stare, they start getting kind of themselves in a dither. So sometimes it's easier to go, let's just go over here and do these fun things that really already are classically conditioned, and let's focus on that. But the person is so far away that it's not with people and more people than one right next to her, if that makes sense. So you're really trying to keep it where she can process. But for other horses, when you start trying to distract them, they start feeling conflicted, because they're like, I need to keep an eye on that person, but I want to do this thing. And now that's causing me conflict, which may be where it's kind of been working against you. But if you can keep that person at a distance where she can still process it and very slowly bring them into the equation, that may help to be doing positive reinforcement, doing her favorite easy things, loads of very high level of reinforcement, and building on that. So kind of look at it a little, watch her in that situation. Which way seems to help her be a little bit better? So maybe it's just walking around and feeding and letting her take a look, figure out how you can set her up for success. So I think that you got to kind of look at the individual. I wish I had a recipe and go, that's exactly what you do, but it doesn't work like that. So seeing what helps her and what helps her to kind of assimilate that a little bit easier. But the classic conditioning is really the piece. The classic conditioning and trying to keep her just under threshold or just at threshold. Sometimes I feel like with those horses, they're like, I never want the person near me. And you're like, but you got to try a little. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. We need to push your comfort level a tiny, teeny bit. And so it takes a skilled eye to recognize all those pieces. But I believe that you're going to recognize what those pieces are. So just look for the tension in her face and her eyes and her lips and her nose and her ears and her body language, and do what you can to help her get more comfortable. Recognize that you can keep her under threshold, and little by little bring that person in a little bit further. I mean, I'm talking weeks, not in a day. Take the time and do what years, whatever it takes. I mean, it may be months, and then I would do different people. And then and then when you go to think, oh, let's try 2 people, go way back to where she's going to be comfortable again, and then slowly build it up from there. But I think it is a disservice to her to leave her so frightened of people, because if something happened, you wouldn't be able to really help her, and it's important that we be able to, trim her feet and treat wounds or, whatever we need to do with her. So I think it is for her best interest if you're kind of helping her get more acclimated to people, being familiar in her environment. So kudos to you for, one, being patient enough to get through the past 4 years and build up some comfort with her, or her comfort with you. I'm sure you're comfortable with her. And then also being interested enough to help her kind of go the next step and get other people to also be able to be safe in her life. And in that process, it will probably really be helping your relationship even further with her. And that's where sometimes I think if you can get her to maybe lift her feet and do a little targeting and touch her neck a little bit, whatever pieces that you can prepare her for veterinary work, but really trying to keep her under or at threshold. Okay, so that's a great question, Wendy, and I would love to hear an update and how it's going. And if you have more questions, of course, you know where to get a hold of me. You or anybody else who doesn't know how to get a hold of me, you can go to www.shawnakarrasch.com or www.vianovatraining.com. And on there, you're going to find a tab that says Ask Shawna. And if you go there, there's a form, and you can fill out the form and submit your question, and I will answer your question and try to help you understand more and be able to put the positive reinforcement into practical application with your horse and your situation. So there you go. Okay, Wendy, you keep up the good work and let me know how it's going. Okay, bye for now.